All right, what's going on, Facebook fam? And what's going on, Legacy Worldwide? Welcome to our morning mentorship call. Like I said, we do this every single week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. As you know, we've been doing several readings. Man, we already have the next book prepared for our next one, by the way, too. So I'm excited about that. So far, we've done the book, The 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership, and then we led to The Law of Success by Napoleon Hill. When we ordered the book, we didn't realize it was going to be this long, but as you realize, for those who are reading along with us, we're almost halfway through the book with this reading that we're doing right now. And so it's powerful. So my wife talked about the habit of saving in our last session. And what Napoleon Hill talks about is that each of these 15 chapters, okay, they're gonna basically ping off of one another. So it's going to give you an organized effort once you can apply them all together. So I don't want you to take this lightly. As we do these calls, I really want you to go to action, take the notes, try to apply them in your life. So I'm going to actually give you action steps today about leadership. And so the name of this chapter, it's a law, okay? The law, initiative, and leadership. That is what he's talked about here. So when we talk about law, I want you to understand, like I said, I like to break things down so that you understand what law means. It's something that you must do. Okay, a law is something that he talks about here is a statement of fact, deduced by observation. So as you know, in his reading, he basically observed 16,000 people, and this is what he's come up with. So everything that Napoleon Hill talks about here is based on observation, based on what has happened, okay, and based on kind of scientific stuff. So he says to the effect that a particular nature or scientific phenomenon always, not sometimes, always occurs if certain conditions are present. So guess what? We're going to talk about how to put those conditions in your life so that you can create initiative, which they say is very important to equal leadership, okay? We talked about organized effort. If you remember in our last reading, we talked about definite aim. I'm going to bring some of that stuff back into this talk here. So organized effort, energy is equal to the power that you have, okay? And he goes on to say that no one could become an efficient leader or take the initiative in any great taking without belief in himself, belief in yourself. Okay, and so we're going to talk about that. That's self-confidence. So if you remember our last talk, the 2 sessions ago, we talked about what is self-confidence. Okay, and then we also talked about eliminating the 6 fears that pretty much takes away your self-confidence. So what we talked about with the fear of poverty, the fear of criticism. I found those to be the most powerful ones, right? The fear of someone falling out of love with you. So we talked about those things which will affect your self-confidence. So if you don't remember that session, I want you to make sure you go back to it, because those are things that we have to practice on a daily basis. It's like exercising our muscle, okay? And so when we talk about the self-confidence formula, and I'm gonna go back to some of the readings so that we can roll into what we're gonna talk about here. When we talk about the self-confidence formula, what do you need to become confident? Okay, you need purpose in life. So he just gives 5 steps. You need a definite purpose. I love it. Napoleon Hill, when he says definite, I realize in this book that means like you can't decipher from it. Definite, like you must do it. It's an absolute, it's a law. So you must have purpose, definite purpose. Number 2, okay, and he did this in a reading, which you got to talk to yourself every day. We're going to talk about auto-suggestion. You got to have dominating thoughts. Dominating, if I can give you that one right there, dominating thoughts. You got to realize that how our brain operates. Every day we're triggering off thoughts. We're like millions of synapses or thoughts are firing off for us. In one sense, we say, I want to become chairman. In another sense, you start talking about the experience you don't have to get there, okay? So we have to have dominant thoughts, our self-confidence that we are going to achieve the things that we want. And to do that, we need auto-suggestion. How do you talk to yourself? Now, unfortunately, majority of the time we talk to ourselves negative. We talk about the limitations versus what we need to go get there. So if we start talking about the future as if, right, look at as a man, the way that he is, he gets worse. But if you see him for what he's going to become, he's going to get there. So you have to look at yourself the same way. What are you going to become? I know that you're not in the current situation that you want to be in right now. I don't know, maybe you want to make 100,000 a year, $1 million a year, $1 million a month. I know you're not there right now, but you have to talk to yourself as if you're already there, and you have to be the first person to believe it, because your mind doesn't know if you're telling the truth or is it false. So you have to basically brainwash yourself. Because when you brainwash yourself, you place yourself into action to go do it, which says that the fourth thing, okay, for my greens, the fourth thing, definite purpose. You have to have a definite purpose, or I'm sorry, a definite plan. You put definite purpose again. The first one was, I'm sorry, definite chief aim, okay? And then the fourth is definite purpose. So a plan. If you fail to plan to fail. We always say in the military, it's true. If you don't have a plan, then that's it. So, we wanted to talk about the habit of saving, okay? So a plan to get out of debt, right? Let's talk about building up wealth, right? How much do you want in your bank account today? Do you want 10,000, 50,000, 100,000, 1 million? What is your plan to get there? Okay, so I'm going to break some of those things down. Let's talk about just simple plans. Let's say the plan to get out of debt. We talked about the debt snowball. Dave Ramsey has this. If you haven't went to look it up yet, go look at what the debt snowball looks like. What happens? He makes you put a plan together. A financial advisor makes you put a plan together, okay? And then you follow the plan. But if you don't have a plan, how can you follow? How can you get out of debt? If you don't have a plan to build up your bank account, for example, or to build up your business, how do you plan on becoming successful? You won't. That's just what it is. And number 5, built on truth and justice, right? Truth and justice endure. So what he talked about in that, and I'm gonna hit home here, is that you can become, depending on what you determine success is. Some people think success is money. You can become successful, right? Sometimes evading truth and justice. But what do we say? If you get it the wrong way, you're gonna lose it. Period. And so those are your 5 things that you need to build self-confidence. And like I said, these are going to be organized effort. When Wanda talked about the habit of saving, those things make you confident. If you're debt free, if you're financially free, if you're in a good position, you feel confident about yourself, okay? Because you feel you have some value to add to others. But when these things are kind of lurking in your brain, this is why you have to have auto-suggestion and speak to yourself as if, right, when it's going to happen, how you're going to feel, because you're going to lead the right way. And so what we talk about here, he says that leadership is essential for the attainment of success. So when I look at this, I'll say it's basically no leadership, no success. That's how I interpret that message there. And so that means that if you want to be successful, right, what is the first person you must lead? Yourself. Okay. So in order to be, successful, you got to become that leader. So then in turn, he goes on to say that initiative is the very foundation upon which necessary quality of leadership is built. And so you need initiative. And this is what we're going to hit on real hard, because I'm going to talk about to the point of initiative, that when we talk about this, he's going to talk about to the form that you have to teach it, just like what I'm doing right now. And the more that you teach initiative, right, the more that it will start applying in your life, because you can't teach something that you're not doing. And so what he says, man, you can start teaching this thing so much that you have to do it. So maybe you're the person, you don't have initiative right now, okay? You don't just go out and do things, when you're supposed to. Okay, it takes things to go do that. And I'm going to talk about the several different type of people that either take initiative or don't take initiative. He says that you must take initiative to build leadership, period. Okay, so I'm telling you right now, if you want to be leaders on this call, you got to take the initiative. And he says that, so what is initiative? Something that's rare, quality that's rare. Really, when we came in, I have a story that just sums this up for me when me and my wife came to this company. And so here's the definition of initiative. Okay, you can write this down. Initiative is when a person does that which ought to be done without being told to do it. Okay, let me say it again. It is when a person does that which ought to be done without being told to do so or to do it. That's initiative. One of the things I marked big on my paper here, that initiative is like a muscle. It's something you have to exercise daily. And I'm going to give you those steps that you need to create more initiative in your life. So, I wrote big letters. I said, teach to my kids, right? Teach to your kids. Parents, teach this to your kids. Initiative, because it's going to grow something great inside them. What do I mean by that? My son, one day and me and my wife, we read a lot about things that we want to get better in. We read about parenting. Right? We read about our marriage, right? We read, divorce proof your marriage, the 40 love languages. So we read different things. Well, when it came to parenting, one of the things that they talked about when it comes to rewarding your kids, they say, don't reward your kids for things you tell them to do. Let me say it again. Don't reward your kids for requests. I tell them, hey, go clean up the kitchen. And they do a good job, but I have to tell them to do that. Okay. And so you don't have to, if you reward them for that, they're going to expect, right? You're creating expectations for things you tell them to do. It's almost like an employee mindset. I want you to really think about this. But then you reward them. You know, my son, he went and cleaned up the entire kitchen. My son is 11 years old, going on 12. He went and cleaned up the entire kitchen, like spotless, like we've never seen before. And he just took the initiative and did it, meaning he did it without us telling him to do it. We reward him for that. And so think about, I want you to really take that in mind, what you're creating. We celebrate what we want to duplicate. Okay, we apply this. So network marketing, how we're going to talk about this stuff today, a lot of this is going to be applied to parenting as well as in network marketing. He even used the term paternalism, which we'll talk about, you know, fatherhood, right? And so he said the world bestows its biggest prize, both money and honors, for things, and that is for the things that you take initiative on. Meaning, without being told, you're going to make the biggest reward for the things you take initiative on. Think about this world today. If you go out and just create something, okay, if you're an inventor and you see it's not there, man, I remember I was inventing my first product in 2011. I was deployed. I remember having my brother draw it out. You know, we created a device called Taco Mama, a kitchen device called Taco Mama. And I remember, you know, getting my brother to draw it up. I was, you know, writing out the legal stuff so that we could get it patented and everything. And so we talk about those rewards because if you're the first to do something, you think about it and you do it without being told how to do it. I just did it, right? You got it patented. I got in contact with someone who had contacts in China. You know, we got with the plants. I talked with them. We got the product done and finished. And then we just took these steps, initiative. You know, I didn't have someone tell me, hey, go do this, go do that, go do this, go do that. No, the vision was plain in my mind to do, and it came to fruition, which the next chapter we're going to talk about is called imagination, which pertains to what I'm talking about. But anyways, that product came to fruition. It's called Taco Mama, and we're going to be launching that again. But here's what I'm getting at as far as taking initiative. What do you mean by big money? I remember when I was inventing it, you know what people were saying? Oh, that's already out there. You know, if it's that great, you know, someone would already invent it. Yeah, that someone was me, okay? Sometimes you're thinking about things and people are going to knock you down every single time. Or if it was great, then it would already be done. Folks, do you realize that the world is built on thoughts that became things? And you, everyone on this call, you have the greatness to produce that in this world. So if there's something that you see that's not here, and you're like, why hasn't someone invented it? God is yelling down, because I left it for you. Okay? And then when you take the initiative, the money and the honor is in the initiative, folks. And so I want to give you guys a story where we're coming over to IM, for example. Listen, you know, we've told this story many times, and so much of this book has kind of brought it back in such a greater light for us. Like, wow, thank you for allowing us to do the things we didn't know was the right thing. You know, we knew it was the right thing, but we didn't know the right actions that were being taken. So when we had to leave our last company, it's such a hard thing, okay? Such a hard thing, because we had to be the ones to step out first, to be the leaders. No one else did it. We didn't have anyone to follow out and say, okay, they're going, we all going together. No, we had to step out on faith for sure, okay? But we did it because, of course, certain morals and things that and values we wouldn't cross, okay? And because of that, I remember us coming over and my wife getting in contact with Garrett Roberts, you know, the number one rep in this company. You guys know him, Chairman 100. And Garrett, you all have heard him. He's literally become a student of the industry. Every audio he's listened to and just learned. And so I remember getting on that call with him, and one of the first things that he told us, he says, I know who you guys are. He says, and here's my advice to you. Step to the front of the line. That's it. You know what to do. Don't ask permission, okay? Initiative, you don't ask permission. You know the thing that's right and you do it. And so when he told me that, you know, I was like, okay, cool, cuffs off. And everything that you see today as far as the system with Legacy Worldwide and how we move and the groups and all that, no one told us to do that. We just did it because he said, move with no permission, just do it. And I'm going to say the same thing to you. If there's something that is going to elevate you, okay, because that's what's going to build your leadership up, you just taking the initiative, just do it. You don't have to be told. If you see there's a lack in something, you see that something can be better, you see that something can go faster, then you do it. And don't look back. That's leadership. That's you practicing. And even if in your head, I'm going to say in your head, because I don't like to call anything failures, right? There's only lessons in life. There's no such things as failures. I believe in my head, That's all made up in our minds. That's a limitation in our mindset for not to do anything else. So there's no such thing as failure, only lessons. So take the initiative, make decisions fast, and do them, and you will grow. It's a muscle. Okay, so here's what he talks about: the different type of people we are when it comes to initiative. Okay, and so we already talked about initiative is what? Doing the things you know that you should be doing, right? People get in debt because why? We don't pay our bills, or we over leverage, and we know what to do. We know we shouldn't do it, right? People fail in leadership because maybe they do certain, we know what to do, but we do other things otherwise. So he talks about the different type of people. So there's five I want you to write down, because I want you to self-evaluate yourself and ask, which one are you? And better yet, you know what? I want you to go to your most honest friend. Okay, sometimes we lie to ourselves anyway, which is good. We can lie to ourselves. It's okay to lie to yourself, but make sure you lie to yourself good so that you start becoming the person you're lying to yourself about. Okay, but what I want you to do too for your self-evaluation is ask someone that you confide in, and you ask them, be honest with me. And you, these 5 things, and ask them, is this, which one would you say that you are, based on how they see you? Maybe you might be a husband or a wife. You know, get with your spouse and ask them, which one of these am I? Be honest with me so that I can grow. All right, so number 1, 5 type of people. Number 1, simple. They do the right things without being told. Of course, I hope that everyone on this call aspires to be that. Do the right things without being told, without being caught, without being called on your stuff. Just do the right things that you know. You know, in network marketing, I love it because we get to observe people and analyze behaviors and mentor and coach. And for some of you who have been mentoring people and coaching, you come across a lot of these type of people we're going to talk about here, where you know someone when they're bluffing you. You know when someone when they're just, hey, they're talking, but you know, maybe they're this, I did this, I did that, but the results are not showing up for them. Okay, so you get it. And so what I want you to do is you're going to categorize people too. So, but first we must evaluate ourselves. So number 2, do the right thing when told once. That's good. He said the next one, right? Right. You aren't doing it without being told, but you're doing it when you're told once. You learn it. You're told once. That's a lesson. Cool. I know what to do. That's number 2. Number 3, do the right things only when necessity kicks them from behind. And they say this person gets an indifference instead of honors and pittance for pay. Okay, indifference means a lack of sympathy, a lack of concern. Meaning you don't go to work. This happens all the time. You don't go to work until the bills are on your butt. You don't go do what you're supposed to do, work that second job, go do what it is that needs to get you out of your situation until the world has crashed in on you. And now you're telling everybody your story. Oh my God, this. But at the end of the day, we have to look in the mirror and say, well, everything that happened was because of me. Whether you procrastinated, whether you delayed what you're supposed to be doing, it's because of you. A majority of people are right here. You know, I call it, you wait for the bear to get on your butt. And that is not the place to be in. And so this is where you practice initiative. You say, I'm going to be what? Proactive. Right? I see the future. I'm going to take the initiative to go first before this actually happens. Okay, because we talked about that. Let's talk about cause and consequence, right? When we don't pay a bill that we know we should pay, what happens? The dang on bill collectors start calling after a while, don't they? Okay, and then it's okay. I'm gonna ignore them. Then what happens? They take you to court if it's big enough. They take you to court, and now you got somebody serving you some paperwork, and then you're like, oh my God, I should have. Now what do? Now the bear is on your butt, and now you're taking what? The initiative. Because it's on your butt. So that's what we're talking about there. So number 4, spends most of the time polishing a bench with a hard luck story. You heard those people who every time you hear them, man, they're gonna tell you the same story over and over again. They're gonna sell you their excuse every single time so that you can be empathetic and have sympathy for them. And I get it, yes, but because you hear it so often, they have now believed their story and they don't move on it at all. Don't be that person. Okay, stop taking your story, stop telling the story, and start rewriting your story. Okay, I'm gonna say that one. The 4th one is basically, I'm gonna paraphrase this. You're just sitting on the bench looking at other people playing the game, and you're like, man, I wish I could get out there, but you don't go to practice. You don't take the initiative to get sharper. You don't get better. In our industry, network marketing, you're watching everybody succeed, become chairman 25, chairman 10, chairman 50, etc. And you just sit back watching like, man, look what they're doing. Man, if I had this, man, if this, if that, if this, if that, if this, and you're just watching all day long, and you constantly tell the same story. And in turn, you never do anything, and you watch everybody excel passion. Don't be number 4. And then number 5, the lowest one, he says, is someone who will not do the right thing, even when someone goes along to show them how and stays to see that they do it. I mean, someone shows you exactly what's supposed to be done, hand in hand, and then you turn around and you still don't do it. And the way that I paraphrase that one, you're just uncoachable. Okay, number 5, you're just purely uncoachable. You don't do the things you know that you're supposed to do, even when you're told to do it, even when someone's watching you do it. You're like, I'm done. So he says that leadership is something that you must invite yourself into. It will never thrust itself upon you. So in network marketing, this is probably one of the hardest industries. We talk about the phases of leadership, for example. I told you a lot of this can be organized effort for me. All right, we talk about the phases of leadership, 4 of them that we brought in over from the 21 irrefutable laws of leadership. What's the first one? You don't know what you don't know. Okay, you're unconsciously incompetent. Number 2, you start learning what it is you don't know, and then you become consciously incompetent, and you start applying the things. I hope, right? Number 3, you become consciously competent, and then ultimately, because you practice so much, you become unconsciously competent, right? Doing the things we know we're supposed to do. Okay, so leadership is something you must invite yourself into. So when we talk about network marketing, if you're not presenting right now, but you're like, I want to be a leader, okay? You're not taking the initiative to better yourself. 10,000, I have a book by Malcolm Gladwell called Outliers, putting 10,000 hours in something to become an expert. Okay, are you taking the initiative right now to become an expert, or do you wait for someone to put the time in for you? Okay, so we're talking about presentation. Do you wait to be told, hey, can you do this presentation? Or every day, not only are you doing maybe a presentation you're scheduled for, okay, you're doing your own presentation. You're taking the initiative to show your team how to do the presentation. You're teaching it. When you teach it, you get better in it. Do you realize when you do, and I like to bring the current so that you can understand, what it is we need to do here. Do you know the main person being sold when you present? Do you know who it is? It's yourself. I remember my first mentor saying, Randy, I don't do the presentation for new customers. I said, what? Why? Well, what do you mean you don't do presentation for new customers? I do the presentation to resell people, to resell the team, to resell me. And so I want you to remember, as you're presenting, you're reselling yourself, because he goes on to say, guess what? You can't sell anybody else unless you're first sold. So the more that you present, the more that you buy in. And listen, I'm watching the organization. I'm watching those who step up and who are doing it, and I'm watching the posture. Maybe they don't know it, but I tell you, every person, Sakina's been doing this. I'm gonna use Rebecca, Jessica, I got some, Miguel, Chuck, Andre. I'm watching the development. Janita, I just watched her yesterday. Oh my goodness. I'm watching the development happen. Rodney Granberry, Alandria, Melissa Brown. I'm watching all of these folks. I see you all. So I'm naming the names. I see you because I enjoy watching the development, whether you see it or not. And I want to tell you personally, you're growing. I see it. Okay. And that was me when I started 7.5 years ago in this industry. And of course, over 18 years of leadership now in the military. Listen, I got to, becoming a pilot was powerful. And I cannot say that I was not scared. Okay. Every time that I stepped to that jet, right, I don't like to say the word scared. There was some fear there. But guess what? There's no courage without fear. Because courage happens when you say, I get the fear, right? The fear of death, okay? The fear of doing the wrong thing in the jet. Maybe I might have to eject today, okay? Maybe I might get shot at today. Maybe someone might lob a missile at me today, right? We're talking about real scenario stuff in the military. And in spite of all that, the courage is still set to the jet. Okay. And so that's why I believe that the military built so much self-confidence in myself. And I love that this book, basically, he talks about all this in this plan. And so us taking initiative in network marketing, you're going to have fears of getting on a Zoom call and putting your face on here. And in your mind, because you can't say the wrong thing. People don't know when you say the wrong thing, by the way. But in your mind, you're like, I'm gonna say the wrong thing. You know, I'm gonna be this. They're not gonna like me. And all I want you to remember, it's not for them. It's not for them. It's not for them. It's for you. Every time you get on that section, it's practice. If I can equate this to playing basketball or baseball, it's like going to the court when no one's watching. I want you to think of that. I'm just taking practice. Baseball, I'm at the batting cage. I'm just taking my swings. Take my swings, my 1,000 reps, my 1,000 reps. That's it. I don't see the people on the call. I'm just doing it until I become unconsciously competent at it. That's it. Okay. So now what I want to do, I'm going to shift you. And, you know, I'm moving ahead of my notes, I believe. So I'm going to shift you. He talks about what it is that leaders must possess. Okay. And I'm going to talk about how to take initiative. So I love it because Napoleon Hill, he loves to give the order of steps. And so he says the first thing, as far as what leaders should possess, you can write this down. First, there must initiative. Okay? Definite purpose. Self-confidence. Well, I already gave you the self-confidence formula. I gave you the definite purpose formula, right? Your definite plan, your definite chief aim. Okay, and then he says initiative is the most important quality of all of them. And so if you were in the reading with me, Napoleon Hill talked about his story where he needed $25,000 to start his business. He wanted to start a course like this, and he needed $25,000 that he absolutely did not have. Okay, so he had to think about how it was that he was going to get the $25,000. And so what I took from that story, there was 3 things that he applied. And if you want something in life, so maybe it's that you want, you know, of course, becoming chairman or having $100,000 account or a millionaire account. Okay, so here's what you need to do. Okay, and then I'm gonna tell you a personal story of mine of how this definitely applied in my life. Okay, number 1, you gotta have a definite aim. What do you want? Okay, so his definite aim was 25,000. Okay, you might say I want 100,000 in my bank account. Definite aim requires, it might not be that you just get it here. You may do multiple things. You know, trading might be one. Okay, investing in some other things might be one. You know, maybe flipping houses, whatever your job is, getting really good at your job, still working that so that you get more pay so that you can accomplish your definite aim. Okay, so I want you to know that this is going to be a combination of things. So have a definite aim. Number 2, make a plan, because you got to make the plan to transform what it is you want into reality. If you fail to plan to fail. If there's no plan, you're not going to achieve it. Period. Number 3. Self-confidence, initiative. This allows you to put your plan into action. What is self-confidence? Just believing in your abilities. Okay? Believing in yourself to do it. Initiative, doing the things you know you ought to do. Period. Okay? If you got to work 16 hours a day to accomplish the goal, work 16 hours a day. If it's got to take you 20 years to accomplish it, work 20 years. That's what he's talking about here. So let me give you a personal story. Listen, you guys all know, born and raised in Compton, California, I did not come from money. Listen, my mom, and I can't wait to, I tell you, my mom has a book for all the things that she went through during the time of raising us. You know, a couple of days, I literally just cried with my mom about some things that she went through. And I was the oldest of 5 kids, so I got to see a lot of this kind of play out. And then she filled in some of the blanks for me, and I realized how powerful my mom really was and what she's overcome. But I say that to say this, okay? My mom did the best that she could with me, and I emulated that portion, her hard work, her relentlessness, in spite of obstacles that were placed in front of her as a single mom. Okay, you know, the justice system not treating her correctly, a lot of stuff. She still overcame and raised 5 kids respectively. You know, none of us, you know, of course, did anything bad. No, not in jail. You know, respectable kids. My mom did great things. Okay, so I say that to say this. No, I didn't get everything that I needed to get to the point we're at now. But over the time that we've been doing business in the military, I've been able to take a lot of those things and understand and apply them to success. So, you know, when I read some financial books, it propelled me to say, hey, I want to start investing in real estate. Listen, I didn't come from a household where we even owned a home. We used to move place to place every single year. Okay, we were evicted just about from every year. I could probably expect for us to be evicted. in a way that we had to just get up, get our stuff, move out, go put it in the U-Haul, and move place. I can't tell. I should have. My profession should have been like a mover. Okay, I could move a house. And literally go in the military. I guess that helped me out in the military. So we never owned a home. So when it came to me owning a home, not only did I start owning one, in my time now, we've owned 12 properties, several fourplexes, okay, several single family homes that have paid us greatly. And I say that to say this, those things I read about first, I read Think and Grow Rich. I learned how to manifest what it is I want, how to make a decision and take initiative. So this story, when he talked about that 25,000, it made me think about my story of 20,000. Okay. And so when I was deployed to Afghanistan, I remember I was going to deploy too so that I could raise the money. So when I talk about my story where I was deployed 4 to 8 months out of the year, it didn't bother me to deploy at that time. I said, okay, if I deploy, I look at the good things. All right, tax-free income. I'm going to save this money. I'm going to stack it. And we're going to do what it is we're supposed to do. And so while I was over there, my first deployment, I finished my real estate license. Okay. So now listen, I did things that weren't normal for pilots. Like for the culture, pilots are like, I'm a pilot. Like they always ask you, if you want to know if someone's a pilot, you'll know how, because they'll tell you every single time. I'm a pilot every time. Okay. That if you can get that personality, that's the type. So pilots don't do anything else. Okay. So imagine here I go, I'm stepping outside of the norms and I decide to become a real estate agent because I have a definite goal in mind. I say, I want to invest in real estate and I want to learn the system, but I need extra money. Okay. Because at that time we're in debt. I have so much going on in my life. I'm paying off things that happened years ago. And so I knew that I had to have an extra job. So I did. I got it. Became a real estate agent. I remember selling 10 homes that year, my first year. But I got my real estate license or finished the course while I was deployed. So not only was I flying missions, I would go back instead of go doing other things like the other soldiers were doing. I was in my room reading the books, going through it. Finished my real estate license as soon as I came back, got my license. Well, my next deployment, wow, did it pay off? Opportunity, I was ready. And I remember going through the MLS system, which means the listing system, multiple listing system. And I seen this fourplex. And this fourplex was $59,000. Okay. But it wasn't in the best shape. But I knew how to renovate at that time. I learned how to put flooring and stuff in. And so without even really seeing the house, I remember calling the real estate agent from Afghanistan and say, hey, just tell me a little bit about it. What does it need? Such and such. And I put in a contract on this fourplex from Afghanistan. Now here's the catch. I needed 17,000. When I went through I put the money up to secure the contract, and I would have probably lost $3,000. I put up $3,000, okay, the off that we had, but I needed 20,000 total, so I needed $17,000 more, and I was going to be home in the next week. And I remember I called my wife and she goes, babe, but we don't have that. I said, I'll figure it out. This is a deal. I seen it. I knew what it was. And I just remember thinking, applying the manifestation. And when I say manifestation, I had to go to action too. It wasn't something that just naturally appeared in my account. I just believed that I would accumulate the 17,000. So when I got home, I did everything. I remember looking at my retirement account and my TSP, which I was saving there. So I was able to pull some money from there. And I said, all I need to do is if I can get a cash deal, I'll go sell a home and we close, I can have the money to close on this home. And sure did. I ended up coming across someone who wanted to sell their home and then someone who was looking for a property. And we made those deals. I made the money to go put down that fourplex. Okay. And that fourplex, listen, I bought it for $59,000, end up putting about $5,000 to $10,000 in it, turned around and flipped it for $120,000 a year later. Okay. And so I talk about the manifestation. So when I'm telling you this, listen, I know, I get it. You might say, well, my bank account don't look this, or I don't have the skills. Believe in yourself. Self-confidence is enough. Belief in yourself is enough. Okay, so let's talk about what it is that you need. And so he goes to say, to end that, initiative is the passkey that opens the door to opportunity. That was it. That story, if I summed up that story, initiative is the passkey that opens the doors to opportunity. Period. Just do it. What was the opposite that could happen to that? Well, I would have broke the contract. I would have lost my $3,000 in earnest money, and it would have been a lesson. But we succeeded. All right. So here are the procedures that you must. I'm always saying this word. When I see must, it's like that means you have to do it. Okay. So follow these, and you become a person of initiative and leadership. Okay. So there's three things, and I'm gonna break them down. So hopefully I can get you to note these just like I have notes here. The first, you have to master the habit of procrastination. Let me say it again. You must master the habit of procrastination, which all of us have as human beings, and eliminate it from your makeup. You cannot procrastinate. Okay. So how do you eliminate procrastination? Auto-suggestion. Okay. You got to talk to yourself every single day to get rid of this. And so I outlined what it looks like for your auto-suggestion. What are you going to do to get rid of it? Here's what you need to do to get rid of procrastination. Three things. Number one, a definite chief aim. Right? Meaning, so a definite chief aim is, what are you targeting? You know, it could be your chief aim is your overall goal. So I want to become chairman 750, chairman 1000. Okay. And so what is your chief aim? And then once you define that, number two is defining the actions every day that you must do to get to the chief aim. Every day. I didn't say sometimes. I didn't say some other day. He said definite action every day. And this could be for 10 years. Listen, me and my wife have been in this industry now 7.5 years, and we have not stopped. And so when you look at, maybe, and this is why we say never compare your story to someone. When you look at our story, you know, when we came into IM, we hit Chairman 10 in 60 days. You know, Chairman 25, not as fast as I want, 16 months. But the 60 days Chairman 10, most people look at how did they do it? Well, we've had a definite aim for a long time. I look at, in my past company, we've been working towards making 25,000. That has always been the goal and beyond. Okay, so when we came here, we just had it already. We had the definite aim. We went for it. We took the actions every single day, and we haven't stopped. I take actions every single day. Number three, here's how you. Number three is eliminate procrastination, and here's how you do it. A, doing one definite. Like I said, he's going to use the word definite. You can just put absolute or must there. Okay, doing one definite thing each day without being told. Okay, this is you practicing initiative. B, find one thing to do each day that you are not in the habit of doing that will be of value to others without expectations of pay. Let me re-say that one again. Find one thing to do each day, that means every day, that you are not in the habit of doing that will be of value to others without expectations of pay. Now, in our other readings in 21 Irretrievable Laws of Leadership, can someone tell me what that suggests? Where value added? We talked about the law of value added. So every day, if you're not adding value to someone, you're subtracting value. So all that Napoleon Hill is telling us to do, we ought to be doing anyway. We should be adding value to human beings, right? Providing free value. And in network marketing, what happens when you provide free value? You provide free information on YouTube. You provide free information over Instagram. You know, providing free information over Facebook. Listen, I didn't have to tell people to buy American Airlines. Okay, I was doing it, and those who did it, they made money, got out. I didn't have to tell people to buy or get out, but I did it. Right? So adding value, what happens? You know, from some of those conversations, people hit me up like, man, I made money off of that. I didn't even know they were following me. I'm ready to do what you're doing. We got personals in the system from that. I didn't expect to get paid from that, but it happened. Why? Because you add value to people's lives. Right? When I talk about maybe some of the books I read, like why gold is important, why silver is important, those things are adding value to people. Okay? Why we do this, we don't have to necessarily do this, but this is adding value as well too. Okay? Now C, this is going to be the last one. C, this is to eliminate procrastination. Tell one person each day the value of practicing this habit, teaching it. The more that you teach it, guess what? You're exercising your initiative muscle by doing this. By teaching it, you cannot teach it without being it. Remember, the first person you're going to sell is yourself. So when you're doing this, when you're telling someone else, you ever see, and I love it, now I have put this in perspective because it can become a positive thing. Have you ever talked, and then he's going to go to talk about practice what you preach, but I'm going to talk about this too. Have you ever talk to someone who you know is not doing the things that they're telling you? Now, when I read this, now I kind of respect it. Not that I respect them not doing things they're telling me, but hopefully one day that they say it so many times that they really start doing it. Okay? So I respect it to the extent where if they tell me so many times, at some point they have to start doing it because they're gonna believe that they're doing it. Okay, that's what I like about this. So that is how we eliminate procrastination. So that was the first. So this was stair step. If you're with me, we're still talking about how to possess initiative and leadership. And I talked about the first thing was the habit of to master the habit of procrastination. That was number one, and then I broke that down. Now we're gonna lead into number two of creating initiative, okay, and leadership. Number two, the only way to get happiness is by giving it away. So when I'm just going to paraphrase this whole chapter. Number two is that we must teach what we expect to be. We must become what it is. He said, live by the sword, die by the sword. Sometimes we look at that as a negative thing, but what you are today, you're going to live by. Okay, that's all that he's saying. So he talks about, and then we go further to talk about. He said it's a well-known fact that a man learns best that which he endeavors to teach others. That's number two. So number two is teach it. The more that you teach it, the more that you'll become it. And he says to the exact proportion, to the extent to which he impresses others, does he impress himself. We were just talking about the presentation. The more that you see that people are having an impact on what you're saying through your presentations, through your value that you're adding people, through to taking the initiative to do certain things, will be how you feel the same way. So getting on a call, training, teaching, you're gonna go back and say, wow, that was pretty good. You just taught yourself. I'm serious. This is how I feel. So fact, we talked about this. No salesman is successful in selling others until he has first made a good job of selling himself. We already talked about in our last passage. So here's the message I wrote down. Any statement that a person repeats over and over again for the purpose of inducing others to believe it, he also will come to believe, and this holds good whether the statement is true or false. So basically repetition. If you just tell you, and this is why me and my wife will say, you'll hear, if you ever hear us say cancel, 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 because we'll say something that is not in alignment with what we are or what we want or where we're going. You know, we'll say cancel, cancel, cancel. No negativity in the web house. If I say something that is not uplifting for me or anyone else, we will say cancel, cancel, cancel. If I'm on a phone call with you and you say something that goes in it's like me giving commands to my brain. And for real, I know it sounds weird, but listen first. Okay? When you're so in tune with yourself, this is just how God created us. Okay? Biblically, whatever your spiritual foundation is, you know, they say that life and death is held in your tongue. What you speak. You can give life to your situation, or you can give death to your situation. Every time you tell your story, okay, good or bad, you are bringing life to your story. Okay, I'm gonna give a personal story, then I'm gonna cancel it out of my mind. Okay, some of you I don't talk about it a lot. Listen, in 2012, right, and I thank God for the blessings that He's given me from everything that's happened and occurred, because all of it was a stepping stone to be here. You know, in 2012, November 2012, I was diagnosed with lupus. Okay, I did not accept that diagnosis. I rejected that diagnosis, but I was diagnosed with lupus. Okay, I had symptoms, right? You know, I had literally, this is why I'm bald head, but I had scar tissue in my head. I didn't know what was happening. I thought it was because I started flying jets again. You know, I was going to training to be an instructor pilot. And so I started flying jets again. I went from C-130s to being this big old tactical airlift plane to now being back strapped in an ejection seat. And so back then, you know, during that time, for some of you who watch military, the F-22 was just coming out. And the F-22 was having issues with its oxygen system. And so we were having some pilots that literally, unfortunately, they had to figure it out. We were having this high-tech technology. These jets were going down, and the pilot wasn't ejected. So pilots were getting killed. And so I felt like when this started happening, you know, I felt it was maybe I was having an issue with the oxygen system. And so when I'm talking to doctor, I'm like, I'm bringing in the wrong oxygen? Maybe we should check the jet. And most time I'm like, I'm not going 100% oxygen either. When I say 100%, there's 100% oxygen, which is full of we talk about the elements, or you get ambient air, right? Air that's around us, okay, mixed with oxygen. So I would never go 100% oxygen. So I didn't think that was necessary. That was it. But when I got sick, I started getting first it started with one little patch on my head. And then it got two. Then I started getting, you know, my eyes, the discoloration of my eyes. So then I started getting sweats in the bed. It was so much happening in my life. And I've always been very healthy. Okay. I've always been very fit. And so when this stuff are happening, I'm like in shock. And so we're trying to figure it out. By the end of everything was said and done, I look like a totally different person than what I look like today. Okay. My eyes were very, very swollen. If you look back at some of my pictures, you'll see that my eyes were like really low because they were very swollen. You know, I had discoloration in certain places. I would wear a hat because I had my head was literally sunken in. And, you know, my wife kind of shared that story, half of that story when we had to move back to Abilene. And during that sickness, you know, I talked about me building my first company, and the truth be told, I didn't think I was gonna live. Okay, I didn't put that in my mind, but just in case, I got prepared a plan. So when our last company came around, you know, the desire that I had to make it work had to work. And so when I got in, we went running immediately because all I wanted to do was make sure that I had created more income. I didn't want that embarrassment that my family wasn't taken care of if I left this earth. And so we went building like crazy in that company to go fast. Okay. Well, I talk about that story to say this. I got diagnosed with lupus in 2012. I retired from the military in 2013. I didn't accept the diagnosis. Okay. I didn't keep telling that story. And you rarely hear that story. You know, I don't like to tell a story because I don't believe it. I was able to overcome it. I started juicing and doing I went full natural. So the reason that I'm a plant-based guy and all this stuff, I started reading and educating myself about what our body can do. And I understand the power that we have physically and mentally to overcome anything. Listen, your situation, you can control it no matter what, mentally and physically. God has created us to overcome things here first. We have to give our bodies command. Think about it. How do our arms and hands move? Well, that's our unconscious, that's our subconscious mind, right? I think it happens. Okay. But understand the things that don't just happen. So we have to instill, wonder if you can control this subconscious, which we can. We can give commands to our subconscious so that you can become unconsciously successful at what it is you want to do. Okay. So those commands for me is I rejected the diagnosis. They had me on prednisone back then. I remember looking up that story. It was worse than my dang on diagnosis. I said, I'm not doing this. And so I remember going back to the doctor. I said, you know what? I don't want to take the medicine anymore. What do I need to do? They call it wane off of it. And I just had to take smaller doses, and I wane off the medicine. And then I went full out plant-based. I know that some people would not accept that. In this world, we have so many sicknesses from cancer to lupus to, you know, whatever. And all I'm saying is you get to control the narrative. You get to control the narrative. Don't speak it into existence. Don't give it life. Give it death. Give death to things you dislike and life to the things that you want to become. Give death to the things that will take you down, death to the things that you dislike, and life to the things that will bring you up. Period. That's it. And so it's not that it's not that things are not really happening in your life. So I might be talking to someone on here, okay, going off my notes right now. But it might be some things that are majorly happening in your life right now. I get it. Maybe confide in someone, tell them, I'm not saying don't talk about it. Talk about it to a stance to where you want to reject it and go up and get past it. Not to the point that you have to relive it. If you have to tell your story, if every time that you tell your story, you feel your body reliving it, stop telling your story. Change the narrative. Talk about when you are going to be, maybe you're going through a sickness. What it's going to be like when you're not sick. I'm not sick anymore. Auto-suggestion. And then the body doesn't know better. See, the body is sick. If the body's sick, think about it. If the body is sick and you're telling it sick, then it's going to act sick. But if you reject the diagnosis, okay, and you tell the body, I'm not sick, auto-suggestion every single day, like you're serious about it. Folks, we have the power to give it away. Guess what? There are great prophets. And you know, we talk about in all different arenas of religion, but let's just talk about the person who has mastered the elements of this earth, okay? When you look at people, you know, if you look at Jesus, for example, you look at how he mastered the earth, everything around him. Okay, they even talk about, he said that people will do greater things after him. Okay, they had 5,000 people, one fish, all the miracles you had, those really happened. And so you ask yourself, well, I remember having like, is this even real now in the day? Because so many special things have happened to me and my wife's life, from even our son being sick. and having people come in our life and do certain things there, okay, there's nothing that's weird to me today, really. And so all I can tell you is when you take this, I want you to know that anything you speak is going to happen if you believe it, okay? So let's talk initiative. So he says, make it your business to talk initiative, okay, getting back on track. Make it your business to talk initiative, okay? He said talk initiative, think initiative, eat initiative, sleep initiative, practice initiative every day, okay? You know, some of the examples, I love to give shout outs to all, you know, and I'm not, hopefully I don't miss any names, but, you know, I look at how does this apply to our business, okay? Right now, taking the initiative maybe to set an event. So, you know, kudos, Mr. Edwin Pender. I know, last week or 2 weeks ago, you know, he calls me up and he's like, hey, could I get you on one of our events? I just need you for 30 minutes to do this. He told me what I needed to do, okay? I didn't tell him what I was going to do. He told me what I needed to do. I need you on this call to talk about this. And if possible, how can I get in contact with Garrett Roberts so we can get Garrett Roberts on? I said, oh, I'll handle that for you. And that was it. Left. Before I know it, there was a flyer made. Matter of fact, as soon as I said yes, flyer out, boom. He already had a flyer made. Wonder if I told him no. Dude already had a flyer made with me and Garrett Roberts on it, and all the rest of the crew initiative, okay? Sakina, you know, the fees, you know, I love it. I just talk real stuff. Hey, this is what we want to do. They're setting up an event, okay? Initiative, do things. You know, Dina, I talked about Dina, Deska. I watch all of you guys, the way that you move. Richard DeSosa, Andre English, Miguel, you know, all the initiatives you guys take every day. You know, Cindy, I'm watching, I see you on here as well too. Like the entire team, you guys are practicing it. And all we got to do is do more of it. It says that you cannot talk initiative to others without developing a desire to practice it yourself. You know, we said that over and over again. So here's the third thing. So summing the second thing up, you're going to teach initiative, okay? That's what that second thing sums up to be. If you're reading the chapter, you're like, what do I supposed to take from the chapter? Okay, teach it. The more that you teach, the more that you'll become it because you're saying it to yourself, okay? The third thing, now we're going to talk about the two types of leadership, the two brands of leadership. He says that one brand brings destruction, and he says it's deadly and destructive. And you all know this leadership. So the first brand of leadership, he says the first brand of leadership which leads not to success but absolute failure, is the brand adopted by barely leaders, pseudo leaders who force their leadership on unwilling followers. That gives me chills. Let me say it again. The deadly brand, which leads not to success but absolute failure, is the brand adopted by pseudo leaders who force their leadership on unwilling followers. What does forcing your leadership mean, y'all? Dictatorship. Dictatorship is a deadly brand. It's the desire to have power. And when you want power, you're not going to help people because it's about you. Oh, no, I'm the best leader. Oh, it's me. No, I'm better than them. You desire to be the top and only the top and never want succession. Pseudo leaders don't look for succession, which we talk about in the 21 irrefutable laws of leadership, right? The law of succession, it's a must. The law of legacy, it was the last chapter. They don't create legacies, at least not good ones. And so the name I can give you for my historians, Napoleon, France, the emperor of France. He was a military leader, he was a dictator, okay? He did not help people. He dictated, and he became emperor. Okay, and the funny part is that Napoleon Hill goes on to say that you're going to be able to make a decision on which leader you want to become. Unfortunately, we have people who are going to take the road where they want to have dictatorship in their business. And what I want you to know is that's not the right route. At some point, it will come to massive destruction. It's not the place you want. You want people to lovingly follow you. Listen, and I can point them probably in my last organization. Okay, my last company. You know, maybe some pseudo leaders who wanted power, dictatorship. Instead of allowing people to lead on their own, okay, they wanted to be over them, tell them, no, you can't do that, talk to them in a certain way, okay? That's not the power we want. That's not a respecter of people at all. So number two, this is the brand that this book teaches us, he said. It says, the leadership that we're going to talk about is leadership that leads to self-determination, leads to freedom, leads to self-development, leads to enlightenment. If I can give you enlightenment, that's where you're able to take yourself out of your shoes and put yourself in other people's shoes. You know, you're a sympathetic leader and empathetic leader, understanding and empathy, okay? And then you lead with justice. This is the brand that endures. So I'm going to say a name to you guys, and it is truth. Abraham Lincoln, okay? He was far ahead of his time, right, in the 1800s. And here you have a man where he didn't have to do, a man, he could have just went with the masses and just been fine. We would not be, who knows if we'd be free right now. Like if we'd even be around right now. Abraham Lincoln was before his time. He actually became a martyr because of what he believed and what he was trying to push. But he will always be remembered forever, okay, as that president. Okay, so what it talks about, so we're going to talk about Lincoln leadership. I think there's actually a book called Lincoln Leadership. So this type of leadership brings truth, justice, and understanding to, he brought truth, justice, and understanding to the people of the United States. He died a martyr. What did Abraham Lincoln bring? Right? The Emancipation Proclamation, abolished slavery. Okay? And as you know, he died because of that. And so understand, sometimes when you're stepping up, now obviously we don't have to go that far in our life with what, you know, not die for the cause of maybe building your business. Maybe you might lose some friends or whatever your purpose is, okay? But as long as it's within value and within your moral character, and it provides all the things we talk about, justice, equality, truth, okay, it's good. So not everybody's going to follow you. And so then he goes and say, like, your own judgment will help you decide which type of leadership you're going to emulate. I hope that everybody on here, you don't want to emulate being the dictator. I hope that you emulate being a leader that people just choose to follow. Right? I call it being a charismatic leader. I enjoyed my time in the military because I got to serve in both spaces. I got to be in the, now I didn't have to step out of my shoes to be in the shoes of an enlisted member. I was an enlisted member. I was an enlisted member for about 5.5 years before I became an officer. And so I understood what enlisted members felt like when their authority, their higher up came to them with certain things when maybe they weren't respected. Okay, I remember being disrespected as a young man, as if I was nothing. I remember being disrespected by NCOs when they spoke to me. They spoke to me as a child. I remember that. I remember all of it, and I remember saying, I'm not going to be that leader. I'm not going to be, and listen, I'm not saying that you have to be friends with people, but you have to be a respecter of people. It's a different. Whatever you expect, like, so how I treat leadership, if I expect to be respected from you, I'm going to give you the same, I'm going to extend the same respect. Guess what? That's biblical, right? You know, that we call it the golden rule. Do unto others as you would have done unto you. Simple things, just wisdom. Okay, I go through this stuff and all these things pop up. That's just truth. And so here's, when we talk about leadership, he's going to go on and we talk about the penalties of being a leader. Okay, because there's a cost, there's a sacrifice to being a leader. There's a sacrifice to being first. You know, when we left our previous company, there was a sacrifice of us leaving our company. You know, I remember when we left, like, and the way that we had to leave is not that we just left either, is that we were trying to leave the correct way. Let people know, like, do the right things. Let them know why we were leaving. Okay, you know, we weren't getting paid for several months. I knew that I had people in my team that were getting evicted from their places. Had people that were losing cars. People that were probably on suicidal watch. People that had to borrow money. People that were getting more over leveraged. And I seen the future. And I couldn't bear what the future held for each of us. And so I felt that we had to leave. And I understood maybe the consequences that were going to come. We were crucified, okay? But we were ready. See, when we left, there were so many things said about us. And I remember my mentor saying, not my number one mentor, but my mentor's mentor. Okay, I remember my mentor saying when we left, he said, they won't even make 6 figures a year. This is when I realized that he didn't know who I was. He didn't respect me as a man. He didn't respect me as a leader. He said, they'll never make $10,000 a month. They'll never see 6 figures again. This company made them. And I want you guys to know that no company makes you. Okay? God created you. And you have all things inside you to be powerful. And so when we left, I remember having that on my thought. And I went, you know, if I could send a letter back to that mentor, I would say, you were correct. We did not make $10,000 a month. We made $30,000 a month. So thank you, Mr. Mentor of my mentors. Okay, so I'm gonna tell you right now, don't believe what any man will tell you. Okay, only believe what God has put in you, and you just go. So we're gonna talk about the penalties of leadership, because every time that I start reading, I'm like, oh my God. And so you being the first to do it, you're gonna be under a microscope. You're going to be judged. You're going to be criticized. So remember we talked about that self-confidence, that thing that comes up called the fear of what? Criticism. You got to get over it. If you're going to go forward and you're going to be a leader, you're going to have to get over the criticism that what people are going to say about you. People are going to want to stone you. They're going to say everything about you to destroy you. And all it's going to do is promote you. Why do I know that? Because here's what he said. He said, when a man's work becomes a standard for the whole world, it also becomes a target for the shaft of the envious few. Let me say it one more time. When a man's work, what you do, becomes a standard, that means everybody starts to do it. Okay. No one knew about Forex before. No one was doing all this. We had a couple people doing it. We got really good at it. Okay. Becomes a standard for the whole world. It also becomes a target. So what he's saying is, listen, when you become successful, they're coming for you. Let me paraphrase it. Dogs don't bark at parked cars. Okay? If a dog ain't barking right now, you ain't moving enough. It's time to move the feet. Okay? Dogs don't bark at parked cars. Period. So basically he's saying when you become successful, they're going to hate you too. You're going to have people who are cheering you on. At the same time, you're going to have people throwing stones all the time. And that's okay. Celebrate it, because that means you're moving. That means you're doing the right things. That means you're on track. That's it. When people talk and mess, sometimes it can be in your organization. Sometimes it can be in your own very organization. Don't stop what you're doing because someone is hating inside the organization or outside the organization. Do more of it, okay? Because here's what it also goes to say. If a leader truly leads, he remains the leader. Ain't nothing nobody can say about you that is going to take you off the top if you're a real leader. If you've applied everything we're talking about, initiative, self-confidence, develop all the things we talked about, you apply them and that's what you are. You are the leader, and no one will take you off the rank because you've been put in the position. How I like to put it is, when we go through our journey, God is creating such a strong person inside of us that once we get there, we can't be taken off the throne. So everything that you have to go through, I know that it's hard. I know that people are saying no. I know that there's obstacles. I know that people don't believe in you, but you believe in you. And when you get there, they cannot decrown you. They cannot dethrone you because you are what you are. And here's what he said. A real leader cannot be slandered or damaged by lies of the envious, because all such attempts serve only to turn the spotlight on his ability, and his real ability always finds a generous following. Listen. When we were leaving, man, they were coming for us. When we were leaving, I remember getting the call. We hadn't even left yet. We had talked nicely to our people. I had talked to even the owner of the company. And I said, listen, I'm in front of the room not telling the truth. People think that I'm a millionaire, and I'm not. People think that I'm making $50,000 a month as this rank, and I'm not. And I've gotten so good at telling the story that people sign up anyway. I said, I can't do this. I'm not going to tell that story anymore. I told that to the owner. And he didn't think about it, okay? He just dismissed it. And so we let all the appropriate people know this is what we're going to do so that we can be in the right. Justice, truth, right? Remember, we talked about when you tell the truth, people have been crucified. Jesus Christ crucified for the truth. Socrates given poison for the truth, okay? The truth sometimes hurt a lot, but that's what leadership is. And so when we left, I remember when we were getting ready to leave, someone called us up, and we weren't leaving yet. We had to leave early. It was abrupt the way that we had to leave, but I was prepared. I remember getting that call on a Friday, and they said, I don't know what's happening, Webbs, but we just got on a leadership call. and they said that you guys are out. And they said, you know, stop following you guys and to do this and to do that and to say this. And they gave the narrative. And we had it all. I said, and I remember telling my wife, I said, babe, we got to drop this video. We had to do the video. I said, we got to tell our story first. We got to drop this video. And so some of you may have seen that video. We had to drop, that video dropped early. That wasn't even expected to do that. And we got that video out. We had to leave abruptly. And I remember all the stones being thrown from leaders on stage calling our name and calling us cowards and this and that. And you flinched and this and that. I remember. And it's funny because some of those same leaders, they realized 2 years later that they had to leave too. You see, when I put them in that category of initiative, okay, they were the people who knew the right things to do but didn't do it. And because of that, they are not getting the reward they're supposed to be getting, the honors, because they didn't do the right thing. When we were leaving, they threw so many stones. You know, I was pointing to my wife, she cried nightly. She cried daily because of the things that were being thrown and said. But in the end, we would get calls and say, man, I heard that you guys left, and I know that they said these things about you, but I know who you are. I know your leadership. We want to sign up. Every day, you know, I think, thank you, because I believe that was propelled us. People knew the real heart. And so don't take it personal when people are talking mess about you. See, I'm going to talk about being the leadership you got to take is I'm going to talk about, you know, the characteristics and qualities that leaders have to have, and moral ascendancy is going to be one of them. Moral ascendancy means taking the high road. You know, there was a point, you know, and let me just be honest starting off, because we're human beings. The first indication that we have, and I had to calm down, during that time, I got great mentorship, right? Only fools don't get mentorship. During that season, I'm a snapback. I was snapping back a lot. But what I realized, I remember my mentor telling me at that time, say, hey, that's not how you want to go about this. That is not what's going to attract people. You're just becoming who they are. You're doing exactly what they want you to become. They would say bad things, and I felt the need to defend myself. And I realized you don't got to defend yourself. You've already been defended. It's done. And so when I give this passage, a real leader cannot be slandered or damaged, right? They're just going to put you in the spotlight, folks. Thank them for the advertisement and go about your business. Let them keep talking. Let them keep watching, because all it is, it's growing you up. It's building you. It's a part of the story. It's building you to what you're supposed to become. Okay, so I want to read out of the book real quick. He talks about, because a lot of this is based on leadership in the military. And so I want to read this, and then we're going to finish this off with what he calls cooperation to bring this all to a close here. So he says, Major Box. So this is a major in the Army, and he's talking to his men, because this is the leadership that you must have, okay, when it comes to taking care of your people. You know, your people got to eat before you eat. You got to sacrifice yourself. Their bed's got to be made before your bed is made. Listen, okay, let's talk about, you know, I'm going to talk about the stuff that in the background that most people didn't see. And we did it so well that our last organization, unfortunately, didn't realize a lot of the things that we were working in the background. You know, I won't say it's a regret because I was taking care of my people. I say it's a regret because I didn't tell them. Okay, if I had any regret in the way that we led from the last company, is that I didn't sit down and tell them what we did in the background. Okay, and so what happened? We were so about taking care of our people. That company was going down, literally. Okay, we had all the information. We knew everything. God is still blessing us in these rooms where we hear a piece of information here, we hear a piece of information there, we hear a piece of information there, and it gives us the full story. So we were that couple that we had the full story, because this person that told us this person that told us that. We're like, oh my God. Okay, and what did I say a true leader does? He climbs to the top of the tree. If we're leading in the jungle, he or she climbs to the top of the tree, and they look around, and they've achieved it. They got there, and they realize that they're in the wrong jungle. They don't be quiet and let their people keep walking. They yell down, wrong jungle. That was the leadership we had to take. And so when we looked at this, what we were doing in that company, we hadn't been paid in months. So as leadership, we already had sacrificed and said we were good. Because listen, I was fighting for the company. I believed in that company. I was sold on that company. So we were fighting. I used my own money to go hop on these tour buses that we were doing. We were traveling around the nation to go talk about what our company was and how to get more customers in, because I believed at that time, until there's some information that came in that let me know, Randy, it's a lie. It's the wrong jungle. And then it got really real because my people stopped getting paid, but they didn't know that they stopped getting paid. They only seen 1 month of no pay. Why? Because I was in the background on text messages with the owners of the company, with my mentors, with the top earners of the company. And I was like, get my people paid. I said, I refuse to let people get moved out of place, from people in Japan, you know, getting eviction. I was like, they need the money now. They said, only people who need the money go on this list. My whole team went on the list. They all need the money. And I showed my butt to the ownership. Right? I talked in a way that, if you've seen text messages, I talked in a way to the owner that they should have probably just kicked me out of the company anyway. Get my people paid. And every day I was on their butts, on the calls. Where's the money at now? Where's the money at now? Where's the money at now? They didn't want to hear from me anymore. They would just pay it. And so my people, out of everybody else, was getting paid. Some of them weren't getting paid, but most of the time they were getting paid. And unfortunately, when the time came, you know, it didn't look like we were in a bad situation, because we had created this world of my organization getting paid. But we weren't getting paid. Some of the leaders weren't getting paid, the bigger leaders. And we seen the destruction happening. And so when it came to passing the message, they didn't believe. A lot of the organization did not believe us. Why? Because in the background, that wasn't the reward I was looking for. But you know, I just thought just doing it, of course, because I want to make sure my people are set before I'm set. Listen, my wife shared a personal story that I still can't share because I get emotional about it. But during these times that I was fighting for my people, I'm driving Uber. Okay, listen, you gotta understand, that is not my personality. But my personality is, my family will never go down. I will always lead, and I will always do the right thing regardless. I will always sacrifice regardless, because that is just in my DNA. Okay? You know, I serve this country honorably. It's in my DNA. And if I can give you anything, when we talk about, you know, he say do something every day that adds value to someone without expecting pay. I didn't expect a pat on the back. I didn't expect extra pay. I didn't expect someone extra to be put in my downline. I just wanted justice and truth. That's it. And so we live a life that, when you become that person, leadership-wise, okay, people know your heart. They know who you are. Okay, so I will tell you that for me, that would be probably the only thing that I look back and say, man, if I could have just said that. But you know what? I want you to take this. It's okay. We've been rewarded. All right, we overcame it all. God had us in position exactly where he wanted us. I look back now, financially, there are some things in my life that I will not accept from my organization. Okay, you know, I'll tell you, in network marketing, you know, let me caution you. And network marketing is one of these things where, when we're running for our ranks, sometimes people will sacrifice you. And I want to personally tell each person on this call, I'll never sacrifice you. I'll never put your family in harm's way. I'll never sacrifice your family, ever. Never to increase my pay in no shape or form. I will always give you everything that I'm doing. I will give your family. If I'm investing in something, then I'm going to give you the opportunity to invest in something. I wish my mentors thought that of me in my last company, because maybe we could have stayed because of some certain things that happened. That was not the case. And so what I'm telling you here, you have to be that person of moral ascendancy, okay? Take the high ground, regardless if you are going to lose your organization. Listen, even to the point that you have to lose your organization, because it's the right thing. And the right thing over doers. And I'm gonna talk about our, you know, I don't know if it was, I'm gonna tell the story, okay, because I can. Our COO of this company, I'll tell you, good attracts good, man. Our COO of this company, Kyle Lowe. Some of you see him, some of you just know him as the CEO of this company, okay? He was in my last company, a highly paid executive, still getting paid his money, but his values, his morals are so high. This is why I respect him so much. His values and morals are so high. Listen, he walked away from making $500,000 a year. He didn't have to. And I remember him joining my downline in 2018. He's always been an executive in organizations. He's never done network marketing. Okay. He's always been an executive. okay? Working business, opening up countries, like he has his law degree, okay? High up there. He left the company and they went at him. And I remember us having a conversation. I would have met him here in Dallas. And we're talking about, you know, trading. And he's like, I want to learn how to trade. I need to do something. So we're talking about that. And when I came with this company, I remember, I knew that we needed a little bit more leadership here. Okay. We needed some executives here. You know, if I can tell you about IAM right now, we are a different company than what we were in 2018. We didn't have any executive leadership in 2018. It was a mom and pop's company that was making multiple millions of years. So I want you to understand what IAM is going to become. Okay. We went from not having structure and they were already making millions to having structure, and holy, that's what gets me excited. Okay. Back on track now. Let me always just hop off track. So Kyle Lowe, so I said, man, and I didn't even know if it was going to come up. I said, Kyle, you were the global president of pros. I said, if a position came up in this company, would you take it? He goes, yeah, maybe. I'll think about it. Yeah. I said, okay. And I remember texting Chris Terry. And I said, Chris, I have someone in my downline. He's actually this person. Listen, this is crazy. I said, Chris Terry, this is how powerful our CEO is, by the way. Also, imagine someone who just came to your company. I'm not even a year in yet. And I'm messaging him about an executive. And I said, Chris, I don't know if you're looking for anyone, but I have a guy in my downline. He has over 30 years of experience in network marketing. He's grown companies to billions. And he's in my downline. Listen, I could have easily kept Kyle there and tried to, recruit out of it, right? And then what Chris said, he says, man, that's crazy because I'm actually looking for a COO and a CMO. He said, can you get him on a call? I said, yeah, we get on Zoom. Call Kyle. I said, can you get on the Zoom? Kyle gets on the Zoom, and literally, immediately they hit it off. He flies Kyle to Vegas. Kyle meets the leaders. I get the call probably Sunday. Kyle goes, I got the job. And because I remember Kyle asked me, I don't know if I can say it, but I'll say it. Chris Terry is a generous man, first of all. I remember Kyle asked me, so how much should I ask for? I was like, I don't know, Kyle. Just ask for what you want. I don't know. What do you usually get? Ask for what you want. I said, just ask. And he said, okay. And he goes to the interview, and Sunday he calls me up. He goes, I got the job. I said, okay, cool. He says, I told him what I wanted. And he doubled it. But you know what that says, folks? Listen. I've read so many leadership books and business books. You know, when I it's great that I get to see the internal of what this business is. When it comes to CEOs and leadership, here's what Christopher Terry knows. I respect him so much for this. Don't underpay your people. Pay them what they're worth. And if you pay your people what they're worth, they will give you everything. If you show your people what they're worth, they will give you everything. And that's the man he don't have to worry about, he doesn't have to worry about competition, okay, taking his executives away. He pays them good. They're not going anywhere. And so we're going to have continuity as a company. For those who understand business, okay, you know, business majors, you understand that's a big deal, right? When someone leaves your company, you know, you have to go retrain someone back up. So when he starts off by paying someone well, he knows that talent's going to stay forever. We are already creating a legacy company just based off those moves, okay? So now getting back on track, and I know that I'm probably above my time. Let me just go ahead and let's talk about this, and we're gonna end it. So this is what Major Box goes to say, okay? He goes, in a short time, each of you men will control the lives of a certain number of other men. You will have in your charge loyal but untrained citizens who look to you for instruction and guidance. Your word will be their law. Your most casual remark will be remembered. Your mannerisms will be aped. Your clothing, your carriage, your vocabulary, your manner of command will be imitated. When you join your organization, you will find there a willing body of men who ask for nothing more than the qualities that will command their respect, their loyalty, and their obedience. Okay, here's why I love this passage. He says, they are perfectly ready and eager to follow you as long as you can convince them that you have these qualities, which I'm going to go over. When the time comes that they are satisfied you do not possess them. Okay, now listen, okay? He talks in a certain way. So basically says, when they find out you a fraud, okay, but I'm gonna say it in his way first, and I'm gonna say it. When the time comes that they are satisfied, you do not possess them, you might as well kiss yourself goodbye. You're useless in that organization as it is to the end. Basically, if they find out you're a fraud, you're done. That you don't care about them. Listen, people are going through that right now. The people who were following people in that company, they're found they were frauds. I'm not following that person. They didn't care. Okay, so what are the things that you must have? Okay, and he also goes and say this was all about military leadership. He goes, in a few days, the great mass of you men will receive commissions as officers. Okay, position, leadership. These commissions will not make you leaders. They will merely make you officers. It's what you do that's going to make you a leader. Okay? Your position doesn't make you a leader. Being a chairman doesn't make you a leader. What you do as a chairman makes you a leader. Okay? Because that's what's powerful in this. So let's talk about these qualities real quick. We're going to bring this talk to a close. So there are several qualities that you must have as a leader. You must also have, he talks about cooperation. Go ahead and read that chapter. Cooperation, basically, he says if you don't understand how to cooperate, work as a team, you won't be able to succeed or do anything. Okay? We must cooperate with one another. And so here are the principles of cooperation. Leadership is a combination of qualities. Self-confidence. Okay? Moral ascendancy. Okay? Ascendancy. A-S-C-E-N-D-E-N-C-Y. I'm going to hit that one hard because it's big time in network marketing. Self-sacrifice. Paternalism. Fairness. Initiative. Decision making. I'll just say that. Dignity and courage. Those are must qualities of leadership. So we've already talked about self-confidence. We talked about that formula. Moral ascendancy. Let's talk about this. Taking the higher ground. Have you ever had someone, maybe one of your business partners, kind of like to call business partners, downlines, business partners, okay, that maybe you got angry with? Listen to me closely, y'all. Listen. You got angry with, okay? They said something. They didn't say it the right way or whatever. And I'm going to say this once. You cursed them out. You cussed them out. Whatever you did. That is not moral ascendancy. You did not take the high ground. You have to find a way in leadership to help people get over what it is they are going through. Listen, folks, I get angry. I do. Hopefully, for the most part, I hope I never really have to show anger. Like I do the best not to show when I'm upset or angry, because that's not leadership. If you're easily angry with people, you cannot lead, because you'll be emotional. Okay, so moral ascendancy, another one, right? You have to have morals. He even talked about, to the point, let's talk about network marketing. I'm gonna talk about some real stuff in network marketing now, okay? If you're trying to become a millionaire, you're trying to make money in this industry, you're leading people, men and women. This applies to both, but I'm gonna tell you that I see it mostly in the men, okay? I'm talking to my men on here. Ready? My men, you're going to have people that confide in you. Okay? You're going to have women that confide in you, that trust you, that will love what you do. Doesn't mean that they have to be attracted to you. You don't have to be with every woman in your downline. Yes, I know. I'm going to speak it. Because all I've seen, listen, I'm being honest. I've done this for 7.5 years. And I haven't seen one man yet successful. I've seen qualified men in a position to become the top rank in the company, but it's never really happened. Because so much friction happens in their downline, in their organization. Because they're with this person and this person and this person and this person. And their dreams never materialize. So I need you to understand. Do you want success? Do you want to go chairman 500, chairman 1000? You got to have moral ascendancy, meaning when you get to a level, listen, You have to be of such a moral character that you cannot be called. Now listen, I know men fall short. And when I say men, I'm talking about everybody now. I'm talking about biblical. We all fall short. We're all sinners. We all fall short. Ask forgiveness. We know. But doesn't mean that you're not going to suffer the consequence even when you ask for forgiveness. So all of us, you know, I will tell you, I stopped following people. I stopped people that I admired that were of higher ups that made millions. I admired them. They inspired me. And then I realized they were disrespecting their covenant. They were disrespecting their union. They were disrespecting their marriage. And that offended me. And to this day, I would never follow that person. Even if the company is good, I would never follow them because of that. Because that's not, see, they say that everything falls and rises on leadership. And how you do one thing, you do all things. And so the reason I hit hard on that one, because I see that being the biggest downfall of network marketing. Trust me, if you want to go high, and not to say that you won't become a chairman, not to say that you won't become even a chairman 500 or 1,000. Because guess what? Unfortunately, we got people who reach even high, high in this country that are not moral character. Okay, so leave it there. Some people will follow, some won't. I'm going to follow leadership that has moral ascendancy. Take the high ground. Okay, applying fairness and justice. He goes to the point. Sometimes you'll be in a position where you can bless people, or you could be in a position where you can give things. Right? I've always been this person that even my family, you're going to earn it. Okay, I'm not just going to build you up, give you things. Okay, Napoleon Hill goes so far to say, in the military, he says, even if your brother is the lieutenant, if he is not fit for command, you must fire him. You must eliminate him. That's how much moral character you have to have. Because the truth is, that's what the leadership, that's what the military teaches in leadership anyway. You can't allow things to keep on happening. You see, there's things happening in this country right now that other people had moral ascendancy. Okay, they wouldn't allow certain things to happen, even that they're, let me give you an example. I read a lot. I want you guys to look up Carol Horn, okay, out of Buffalo. She used to be a Buffalo cop 19 years ago. And we're actually going to do something with this here shortly. So I want to go ahead and share this story. They just passed not having the chokehold, for example. This woman, Carol Horn, 19 years, was it 19 years ago? No, 2006. She had 19 years on the job. And one of her cohorts, police officer, she's a police officer, black woman. And this police officer is choked. I guess they did something. This guy, of course, emotions get high, and they finally got him in handcuffs. He's handcuffed. He's subdued. And this cop is choking him out, about to kill him. She sees it. And they call it crossing the blue line, okay? This blue line, this magical blue line. And she says, I'm watching him choke him. And I said, hey, she calls his name. Hey, stop. Hey, stop. And he wasn't stopping. He was just choking him. And she had to intervene physically. And she says, stop. He's already in handcuffs. And when they went back to the unit, he wrote her up, the other people wrote her up, saying that she basically intervened to a point where his life was in danger. The man was in handcuffs. And here's what she said. She lost her pension, first of all, 19 years on the force. Okay. And so we're going to do something with this, by the way. I'm giving this to you. We're going to do something with this, y'all. She lost her pension. She has 5 kids. She lost her pension, 19 years on the force. She was a black sheep. And for the past years, she lost her dignity. She said, I struggled and I had to bear with this. Like, I did the right thing. This is what police officers are supposed to do. Like, I'm community policing. I did the right thing. And they fired me. And so now you may see that we just passed the act called the Carol Horn Act. That you see is up the hill, and it got passed that they are making the chokehold illegal for police departments to use. Okay? And I hope they reinstate this woman's, and we all should probably write in, okay, her name is Carol Horn, and get her retirement back to her. Sometimes doing the right thing will not pay you. May hurt you. But you know what she said? But I saved a life. She could live this earth and say, I saved a life. How many people could, of moral character, moral ascendancy, if something is doing wrong, instead of you saying, what's going to happen to me? Oh, people are going to stop following me if I say this, if I stand up. Or if I say this, then people are not going to like me. So what? That's not what God put on this earth. We didn't put on this earth to be weak and meek. God put on this earth to help people, right? We are our brother's keeper. I am my brother's keeper. That's what we're here for. So sometimes I ain't gonna tell you the high road is gonna pay you every single time, but you will have fulfillment about it. It will be struggle. Yes, it will hurt. Okay, that's what brings it into self-sacrifice. That's why it's such a big deal. Self-sacrifice sometimes. Paternalism, right? With paternalism, when we look at network marketing, kind of look at network marketing like you're the parent. What would you do as a parent, right? We want the best for our kids. Why? We make sure our kids eat first. Okay, we make sure they have a roof over their head. We make sure they have all the proper tools. We make sure that they have this and that. Are you applying paternalism in your organization? Make sure your men eat first before you do. Make sure they have the tools before you do. Okay, make sure they're taken care of before you do. That's what leadership is. Sometimes you don't see the things we're doing in the background. Okay, until you get there, you start realizing, oh my God, you got to do all this in leadership. Yeah, imagine you've never been the president, right? And one day you become the president. I heard there's a book in the Oval Office that they get briefed on everything that's ever happened. But you become the president, and now you're like, oh my God, I can't believe all this work. You realize just what the president is responsible for. That's why I say the president ages like by 10 years for each term, for real. It's a lot to carry on the shoulders. Fairness. Fairness, it's fairness, right? We just said, I already talked about that initiative, decision. You know, he talked about decision in a major way. If you lack making a decision, you can't lead. You know, he talked about the salesman who talked to this guy, like the lack of you not being able to make a decision will cost you everything. Cost you finances, cost you a career, cost you leadership. Make a decision. Practice making decisions, even if it's the wrong decision. Napoleon Hill says, making a decision, even making the wrong decision is better than not making no decision. Okay? Have dignity and courage. Anytime that courage is required is only when fear is present. He talks about the difference between bravery and courage. Courage is mental. Bravery is physical. Okay? So we have to have the mental fortitude to apply courage even when fear is present. And courage is only applied when fear is present, the things that you want to do. And we say that fear is false evidence appearing real in our head. You just do it anyway. Don't care. You know, I want to do a presentation. They don't think about it. I don't not do this presentation. I don't know what to say on it. Do it anyway. I don't want to go tell my best friend who I know for 20 years or I haven't talked to them over 20 years. Do it anyway. I don't know about this thing because do it anyway. Do it anyway. Do it anyway. Because that's taking initiative, and this world only pays for initiative and leadership. See, what I know is if we want to become whatever it is we have been called to become, this is probably one of for me, the most important chapter for me, you know, initiative and leadership. So everything that we talked about today, I want you to apply that in your life. You know, we talked about the 3 steps on applying it and teaching it. Apply that today, right? Why I say today? Because we don't wait. We got to master procrastination. So if you apply today, you are starting today mastering procrastination. And so, folks, I love you. That is our chapter. The next chapter that we're going to be covering on Monday is going to be imagination, the law of imagination. So, you know, I haven't even really read the chapter heavily yet, but I'll tell you, you know, some of the thoughts that we have, like, you know, when I invented the product, that was imagination. A lot of us, we started as kids. I watch my son. I love to foster the things he loves. My son is an inventor already, Xavier. And I watch him take cardboard and create stuff, and I love it. So for my parents, if you're seeing your kids build things, celebrate it. Because what you're doing is you're creating the next inventor in the world, right? They might invent something early in their life. You know, build them up, give them the self-confidence that they're on the right track. Because when you think outside the box, there's no one to show you in the box, okay? There's no one to show you. When you're thinking outside the box, there is no instruction manual. You just do it. And what I want to challenge you all today, there is no instruction manual for what we do. You just do it. Today, The initiative is I want you to just do something that you're not used to doing. Don't let me or any of the leadership, just do it. Do what you know you ought to do for your business to grow. Do what you do. Do what you know you must do to get out of debt. Do what you know you ought to do to become financially free. Do what you must do to get out of your situation. Do what you must do to help people. And that's it. And we win. We all win. And in everything that we do, we will continually leave a legacy.